morning, Grinders. Welcome to RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD, BlenderHD. You got to follow me on Twitter. And it's Wednesday, September 6th. And we'll be taking a first look at the Week 1 NFL DFS slates on DraftKings and FanDuel. Talk a little bit about golf. Maybe look at we got 2 MLB slates today. Maybe take a look at that, some props, some pick'em. We got everything for you here. In the morning, joining me, the man, the myth, the legend, Derek Farnsworth, but people most notably know him as Notorious. Well, welcome to my world in the morning at 11 in the morning. You normally write a lot of the content at RotoGrinders, so I'm assuming you're up early in the morning most days anyway.
Yeah, up early. Plus, I got a little one. Got to get him off to school. So I'm with you on the early morning thing, but doing a show every morning, that's pretty impressive, not going to lie.
Well, I have to deal with the chat people, but the chat people in the morning are actually pretty nice. So if you're in the chat, give me those thumbs. You know I like those in the morning. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Good morning, what does Bart B, Robin Taylor, Daniel Hutchings, Nathius J, asking about Kelsey's knee functioning or what. We already know. It's NFL Week 1, and we're entering Week 1 with major injury ramifications for the slate. I mean, obviously tomorrow is the Thursday showdown. We got Will on tomorrow. We'll talk more about Kelsey's status then. But I mean, on this slate coming up, I mean, you have the first look obviously here. If you're a premium member, you get all the content. You get all the projections, all the ownership, all the access to lineup HQ, the tools, props, pick 'em, everything. So click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. But I mean, some of the major injury stuff. I mean, like Terry McLaurin, we don't know if he's going to play. Like obviously, we got like Cooper Kupp. I mean, I don't expect him to play, but we got a lot of injury statuses heading into the season that could dramatically affect the DFS lineups that you're playing.
Yeah, we definitely do. You mentioned Cooper Kupp. George Kittle looks like he's questionable. Pulled up the injury situation room earlier, and more big names usually than we see that are questionable heading into Week 1, and there could be more. You mentioned Kelsey being listed as questionable. Nobody really thought that was going to happen, and then all of a sudden popped up on the injury report yesterday. So usually we have all these things kind of ironed out ahead of Week 1, but that doesn't look to be the case this year.
Well, let's take a look at these injury situations and what we should expect, what values could open up in case some of these players are out. Now, we already have Jerry Jeudy listed as out. You can see here, if we bring up the screen, there we go. We have all the injury statuses in lineup HQ, so you can see the O's, the Q's, right? Anyone that is questionable or better, we will project in the RG projections. And then once the status is updated, we will update it. Obviously, we don't have today's update in for Jerry Jeudy, but Jerry Jeudy is out. We have the Broncos. The Broncos do have a 24 implied team total. I mean, last year, Russell Wilson with this offense did not look good, but I mean, the totals on this slate aren't all that high anyway. With Jeudy out, are we prioritizing to some extent Courtland Sutton? And I think a lot of people are going to be looking at Mims at min price at $3K. Do you think that this is the Denver receiving game is necessarily like slam dunk with Russell Wilson behind the center?
I mean, they got rid of Nate Hackett, so that's obviously a bonus for Broncos. But I don't know. There's more value on this slate than we typically see. I would think, if this was Week 4 or something, I'd be more interested in playing all these guys. I certainly still like the projections for Sutton and Mims, maybe even Dulcich as well at tight end. But I wouldn't necessarily call them slam dunk plays. And when we saw this offense sputtered time and time again last year, the total is pretty nice. You mentioned the 24-point total, but I wouldn't necessarily force them in. There's some value on Indy as well that I think seems a little bit more safe in my eyes.
Okay, so let's talk about we'll bounce in between injury statuses and value. I wanted to talk about that Indy situation. So Jonathan Taylor, obviously, who knows where he ends up this season if he plays this season. Zach Moss is, I don't know, is Zach Moss's status, is he officially out, doubtful? I mean, we don't have him in the projections, so I'm assuming he's doubtful or worse.
Yeah,
Is
it
there
sounds
a
like
big
he's not.
difference between whether or not he plays or not?
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to be out until week 2 or 3. So, Deion Jackson, very cheap, especially on DraftKings. And typically, I'm more willing to play the cheap running back chalk when they get those spot starts, just because the volume's going to be there. And the running back position is pretty much all about volume. Nice home matchup against the Jags. Now they're more beatable through the air, and I do like Anthony Richardson as well. If you want, a leverage play off of Deion Jackson. But yeah, those are two of my favorite value plays on the board as of now.
Do you think that this is a much more fragile situation than people may realize? Because I head into week 1s and week 2s of NFL season as a GPP player. I love fragility. I love it when people think they know and then they don't, and we have very small sample sizes in NFL. So like I look at this type of situation, and they got Evan Hull. Obviously, he's a 5th rounder or something. Obviously, he'll mix in. Don't they have done? Is it just me? I mean, obviously, since I'm a numbers guy, I'm not a watch the tape, grind the all 33s, whatever they call them. Don't they have Kenyon Drake on like the practice squad or something? Like, are we guaranteed that they're only going to have 2 running backs available?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. We'll have to tune back later in the week. But yeah, you got to think, Moss is going to get the start. But to your point, yeah, this is the week where we think we know these teams well because we've been studying them for 3 months. That's pretty much all we have to do because we can't, grind tape like you just mentioned. But we really don't know anything about these teams. We're not going to know. And then after week 1, everyone thinks they're going to, repeat what happened in week 1. And then everything's the exact opposite in week 2. So I think the first 2 weeks of the season are the best time to get a little different, to have stronger takes, to get away from the chalk. But at the same time, when it comes to running back chalk, I'm usually more willing to play it than some of the other positions.
Right. Only because of the salary discount, especially at 4,100.
Yeah.
On DraftKings, Deion Jackson is much more of a pass catching back than Zach Moss would be. So at 4,100 on a full PPR site, I don't know how much you could get burned. Will it be necessary? Like if he ends up with 10 points, like will that win you the Millie Maker? Probably not, but you won't be disappointed with that. But on FanDuel at 5,600, I think that's still cheap. I think playable, but half-point PPR, more touchdown focused. I mean, I have to be concerned. I mean, this isn't the Matt Ryan Colts or anything. I mean, this is I mean, with Richardson at quarterback. I mean, we're going to get into the situation with the Colts. I mean, the Colts are not going to be good this year. The Colts have a 20.5 implied team total. Is this going to be like a Cam Newton type of situation where you have? I mean, Cam Newton arguably maybe better, but you go play the running backs, very similar to the Ravens running backs, and it's like, 4,100 Deion Jackson. Oh, rookie quarterback, he's going to check down. It's like, are you sure about that? This is the type of guy that 2 seconds in the pocket and he's gone. He may not be looking at his running backs, and we may be sitting there with like Anthony Richardson has all the points, and these running backs are all sitting there with like 4 or 5 points because the Colts can't move the ball. They'll have three available running backs, and like it's either 2-yard rushes and not many screen passes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. That's kind of why I said I like Richardson as sort of a leverage play if Jackson does become very popular. It's probably too early in the week to see, true ownership percentages at this point. But yeah, I mean, Richardson, dual threat quarterback, typically they don't check down as often as, some of the pocket passers. So I do like that play. And then, I mean, if you're playing cash games, you think it's bad to play both of them in something like a cash game situation?
What, to play both Hull and Jackson?
No, Richardson and Jackson.
I mean, playing Richardson in cash, I mean, that's
true.
I don't even think you need to. I think in cash games on DraftKings, I think I'm much more. I mean, there's so much salary savings, Noto, that like I mean, we have people. I mean, Sam Howell at 4,900 against Arizona. I think he'll be more popular than Richardson. I think Richardson obviously has a higher ceiling with his legs, but I don't necessarily think this is the week where you pay down at quarterback. I mean, like Herbert's there at 6,900. If anything, you play Geno Smith at 6,100. I mean, for GPPs, okay, but
Yeah, but
I
you don't
mean,
want to pair.
I feel a rookie quarterback in his first game to have like 80% of my volume, right, in cash games on that.
No, yeah, I
That's
was more
right.
saying, asking if you would play a quarterback with a running back on the same team in cash
Oh,
games,
oh, oh,
if
oh,
they're
cash
both
games. Yeah,
cheap.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in GPPs even the pricing is cheap enough that, like I said, like it's if the Colts miraculously put up 5 touchdowns. I mean, Deion Jackson could have 20 points and Richards can have 30 points. I mean, it could be. We've seen Lamar Jackson and like guys like Gus Edwards both put up ceiling games because they run the ball so much. And in definitely cash games, I don't care about the negative correlation. I'm just looking for the best mean score possible. But yeah, Anthony Richardson in cash, just in general. I mean, dude, I don't even want to play Sam Howell in cash, and he projects well, actually.
Yeah, I feel you there. Yeah, any other quarterbacks? I really like Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to have a big year. Brought in Todd Monken to call the plays, gave him some more receiving options, and we have Lamar out here saying he's going to throw for 6,000 yards. So I'd love to see that if it could actually happen. But still, one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. And I typically like to avoid quarterbacks when they're big favorites. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, I mean, he's typically running the ball late in the fourth quarter when they're up anyway. So he's going to be one of my flag plans of the week.
Yeah, I think he's much more appealing on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. 8,900. He's the second highest priced quarterback on FanDuel, but higher on DraftKings. And the FanDuel the way the salary distribution is on FanDuel, like you're typically paying up for quarterback because the cheap quarterback, like when Sam Howell's 7,100 and Lamar Jackson's 8,900, that spread is much narrower. While on DraftKings, like Lamar Jackson's almost double the price. So I think on FanDuel, yeah, I think if you're playing definitely cash games, I think Lamar Jackson will be QB1 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's a little bit more of a choice. No, I wanted to get into more of the injury situation. We talked about Sam Howell. Is Jahan Dotson at 5K going to be pretty damn popular if Terry McLaurin is out?
Yeah, I would imagine so. We'll see on some of these other injuries. Looks like Romeo Doubs is also questionable, so we could get some value opening up on Green Bay as well. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing, is 5K the price on FanDuel, you said?
I think on FanDuel, I think he's 6,100, but I mean that's
Okay.
the equivalent of. I thought Dotson would be cheaper. When I'm like,
Yeah.
let me see what Dotson. I thought maybe 3,800 or something. I mean, he's at a level where if McLaurin is out, I mean, I think he's fine. I suspect in GPPs, if that happens, if we get the news early enough, not like Sunday morning news, yeah, sure, I'll play Dotson 5K in my like cash lineup on DraftKings, but this dude could be like 20-25% owned in GPPs. And do I want to play a chalky Washington offense?
Yeah. I mean, everyone that plays Howell is probably going to be looking to Dotson if McLaurin's out. So, I mean, yeah, Arizona's a great matchup. It looks good on paper, but like we mentioned, we don't really know what's going to happen here. So that's one of the more interesting decision points to make.
Another situation I want to look at is the chalk game. I mean, the game to target. I mean, everyone's going to go. The highest total game on this slate is the Dolphins-Chargers game. And if we take a look at the projections right now for that game, let me move over from the injury tab. I get the sense that Tua, Hill, Waddle type lineups, especially with the value available this week, I think will be very highly owned. Like in comparison to other 13-game slates. what's going on with the Miami backfield when it comes to, Jeff Wilson's now on the IR. Like, I expected Raheem Mostert to be projected higher. Are we expecting like I don't know how to pronounce his last name, McCain? I know he's like a darling in best ball drafts now because I all on Twitter. How much is my Devon McCain exposure? But like Salvin Ahmed is there also. Are we just expecting like Mostert? How much of the work could it be one of these situations where we're projecting much more of a share, and it just turns out that they just lean on Mostert for 80+% of the work? And I view that if he's going to be 8% owned, obviously this ownership is going to update throughout the week with Jamino. I mean, I look at this as you fade the passing attack and you just hope that, we've seen Raheem Mostert in week ones put up, 85-yard runs to break it out, and then of course gets injured in the same game. I think that was 2 years ago, right?
I mean,
am I nuts, or do I feel like, are they really going to give a Kane like just out of the gate like 30+% of the snaps?
no, I don't think they will. And I think by the end of the week, we're going to see a much higher projection and a much higher ownership projection on Mostert. A couple of other models that I look at each week have him projected a lot higher than we do at the moment. So I could see that number coming up. And you mentioned that. I mean, Mostert, this is the best time to target him. He's injury prone, and he's one of those guys that relies on speed. Chargers were a defense that you could run on last year. So I think it's a great spot for him. I do think he'll get the bulk of the work, but I don't think we're going to get that sub 10% ownership that we're hoping for. I could be wrong.
I was hoping so. I was like 8% Mostert. What is going on here? But obviously that's a big part of signing up for RotoGrinders Premium. You get the combo premium package. You get just the NFL only if you want, but I suggest getting the whole damn thing. Right? You get all lineup HQ, all the ownership, the fantasy projections, all the articles, all the premium shows. We got the props and pick'em package. You get everything. So click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. Is there anything else from a first look standpoint that you're looking at for NFL Week 1 on either DraftKings or FanDuel?
What are you doing with Saints running back situation?
Do you think Jamal Williams is going to be as chalky as we're predicting him to be?
I guess it depends on if Mostert goes up in terms of ownership and some of these other injuries. But man, it seems like a pretty good spot for him.
I think this may be one of these weeks, right? And I'll talk about it more on Friday, where we talk more GPP strategy. This may be one of those weeks. I mean, this is FanDuel at 6,800. I mean, he's what, 5,100. This is one of these weeks. We see this happen a lot in GPPs, Noto. That Jamal Williams, 5,100, no Kamara, right? Good matchup, right? They have a healthy 22.25, which for this slate, it ain't that bad. It's going to be one of these weeks where Jamal Williams is like, oh, okay, he's the value running back. Like it's going to be Jamal. You're going to be playing like Jamal Williams, Deion Jackson, Kenneth Walker. Like that's like the cash build type of thing. But there's so many running backs. I mean, if you just take a look at the projections, like within like 2 points mean projection in like the 5 to 7K range, you got so many running backs. It's like you got Rashad White, you got Alexander Madison, Javonte Williams, all right, Herbert, Connor, Etienne, Mostert. I mean, like, dude. I mean, you could even Mixon, Dobbins. I mean, like they're not all that far away. And NFL is much higher variance, especially when it comes to running backs. People think of wide receiver variance, but running back ceilings are mostly tied to touchdowns. So like we have a bunch of guys that could score, that could fall in the end zone twice. It may be it's either the type of week where everyone gets stuck on Jamal Williams and he ends up being like 36% owned. But I suspect it's the type of thing where by Saturday, people are like, in GPPs, are going, well, everyone's going to play Williams, so I'm going to play Rashad White, and I'm going to play this guy, because there's so many choices. And then Jamal Williams may be the chalkiest running back, but just comes in at like 18%, while everyone else is kind of spread out. So it may be the type of thing where Oh, Jamal Williams. Why didn't I play him at 18% owned? I thought he was going to be 35.
Yeah, we see that a lot in these week-long sports where the guy that initially projects to be the highest owned, everyone kind of gets scared off by the ownership projection throughout the week. They try to talk themselves out of it, and then by lineup lock, he ends up coming in a lot lower owned than we necessarily thought. The same thing happens in golf all the time. So, as long as you like the spot for him, I think you're okay to play him, especially. But to your point, I mean, with all these guys just projected right around him at a quarter of the ownership, certainly some interesting pivots there.
And Donnie Watson in the chat is asking about Keenan Allen's 4% ownership at 7,300 on DraftKings. I'm expecting that the ownership of everyone in that game to go up. This is just our initial, like, algorithmically kind of run projections. Jamino will be updating them day by day, so a lot of times, multiple times throughout the day. So, I mean, that's what it's Wednesday. You don't have to worry. No. When do you build your lineups for NFL on Wednesday and then just leave them alone? I mean, I used to do them Saturday night, and even that I found was too early. That I'm like, no, I'm just going to wake up a little bit earlier on Sunday and do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm barely starting my research on Wednesday. Typically, like to start at Thursday after the first run of injury news, just because so much can change between Thursday and Sunday.
You talked about golf. PGA is off this week, but we do have the DP World Tour, and of course, I've not played golf DFS in quite a while, and don't follow golf, and I was wondering what DP stood for, but actually DP World is a logistics company and not something sexual related. But it's like the DP Irish Open. It's like, dude, what are the props for this look like? I don't know getting involved, but you do have a short article up for premium members for essentially this used to be called the Euro Tour, right?
Yeah, it used to be the European Tour, and we weren't expecting to have any content, for the DP World Tour this part of the year. But DraftKings came out, put up some big GPPs, so we wanted to get something out there for the premium members. And last week there was some pretty big overlay in their contest. We rarely see overlay these days on DraftKings, so if you do want to play golf this week, it's kind of fun. You wake up and the sweat's kind of over just because of the time difference. So. You either have to stay up late or just, not enjoy the golf sweat like you usually do. But should be fun. A lot of people that play these just kind of rely on their favorite set of projections. They don't really dive into the research as much as they should, like they do on the PGA Tour. So I think there's an edge here. And we got some few things out for you guys.
Okay, who's the cover person for the article?
That's Rio Hisatun. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name correctly, but he's been pretty good. I think he's coming off of 3 straight top 25s. And this is probably the best field that the DP World Tour is going to have all year, other than the BMW Championship. Got Rory McIlroy in the field, and he's pretty much a lock and load play if you are, playing anything, cash games, single entry, stuff like that.
Right, and we have all of the golf projections. The DP Tour, you have to switch over from the PGA Premium projections to the DP Tour DK projections. No ownership, though. I'm assuming because these typically this is like an off week. Most DFS players would consider this to be an off week, a little bit smaller contest. So not exactly sure how ownership is going to play out.
Yeah, no ownership projections, and this is actually not our PGA model for RotoGrinders. These are just my ratings. Jamino's incredibly busy right now, so he wasn't too happy when we were asking him to run some DP World Tour projections for golf. But yeah, shout out to Jamino. He's an absolute animal. So these are just my ratings based out of 100, and I'm kind of building my lineups off that this week.
Right, and you can see here in Lineup HQ, you do have blurbs and tags and everything in here. So if you wanted to go in and even build by projections and single out certain golfers that Noto and cards, I guess probably maybe not this week, but I'm looking through. When you're using Lineup HQ and PGA, are there any custom rules that you necessarily use? Because I wanted to highlight one of the functions of Lineup HQ that people may not know about because it's a little buried in here, and it's in the build rules, custom settings, and you're able to add a custom rule, which could involve any position, any players, and either like fantasy points, ownership, or salary. So, I mean, I haven't played PGA in a long time, but I would remember you could do this in groups, but it takes you longer. Of let's say, you know, when you were building lineups, you were getting a lot of like Rory McIlroy, Tyrell Hatton lineups, like double pay up top, and like these barbell type of lineups. And let's say you didn't want that. Let's say it's like I don't want to play McIlroy or Hatton in the same lineup. Now, obviously, you could make a group that just says, you know, those two golfers max one, but you could make it so that I don't want to play more than one golfer that's over 10K, which will cover all of these. You know, we cover Adam Scott, Shane Lowry, but you could do it much easier by using, you know, give my lineups at most one golfer who has more than, you know, 10,000 salary. So that when you press the build button now, you didn't have to make that group. You're just like, okay, you're not going to get more than one golfer that's 10K or above. Do you do any of these types of rules in PGA, or think of any other possible rules that could be useful for those that do?
So this is why I was excited to come on the show, because I knew I would learn something from you, the Lineup HQ guru. Because I'm sitting here making groups doing the same exact thing that this tool does. So I'm excited to try this out. So yeah, I was going to bring up rules to where normally when you run just you know, the optimizer for PGA DFS, you're, instead of getting the two expensive guys and cheap guys, you're kind of getting everyone right in the middle, and then you're not getting the elite golfers. So I usually build rules the other way, where you want at least one golfer above 10K.
Okay, you could do that. We could switch that. We can go give my lineups at least one golfer that has more than 10. I mean, just all you have to do is switch that box.
Yep. And then I also build groups. I usually take like the chalkiest 3 or 4 golfers that I like that week, and then say a max of 2. And it looks like you can do that here as well. If
you know how you would do it, Noto? You added second custom rule. You could have as many as you want. I do this in sports like baseball, right? For like, I don't want to play you know, like these one-off batters, right, that are like 20+% owned. It's like no more than one in the lineup. Like you could do the same thing. So it's like, give my lineups at most one. Like you said, the max of like 2. You don't want to play more than 2 like chalky golfers in your lineup. So you could do like at most 2 golfers who have more than like 20% fee owned, right?
Yep. Love it.
There you go. So you don't even have to go like, what are those golfers, and have to go to the groups and go, well, I got to put these like 7 guys in a group. And then obviously as you include and exclude, like sometimes the group gets disabled and you're not sure. Next thing you know, you have the list of 36 groups and you don't know which is which. A lot of that could be solved by, you know, just simplifying it into, well, you know, you're not going to play more than 2 golfers that are highly chalk. So just find maybe it's 18%, maybe it's 22%, whatever your cutoff is. You could just simply do it in the custom rules. I'm surprised that you've been at RotoGrinders the longest, but I think, to be fair, I think I've been using Lineup HQ the longest of anyone.
Yeah, I mean, golf is the only sport that I do MME in. So I'm typically a 1 to 5 lineup guy in baseball, football, basketball. So I like to hand build. So I typically don't, you know, do as much Lineup HQ as most. But yeah, it's fun to learn new rules. And I learned the what is it, OIS thing that you guys were talking about yesterday with cheese. That's really cool. I didn't know that was an option either. So learning things every day.
Right. Let's move on past the tool time. If you want to send in questions, we do have a mailbag segment, but we need your questions. So if you have any questions about DFS strategy in general, MLB, NBA, PGA, NFL, any questions at all, send it into the mailbag. And the mailbag is questions@theoryofdfs.com. They'll go directly to me. And, you know, we try to include one question a show from the mailbag. So we need to kind of build those up. So we'll have Will on tomorrow for NFL Showdown, and we'll still talk baseball and stuff like that. Friday, MMA, maybe some college football, depending on who's on. So send in your questions for the mailbag. Questions at theoryofdfs.com. And let's close this out with maybe take a look at some MLB stuff. I do have a prop angle for MLB, right? We have two slates today. We got the Wednesday early slate and the late slate later tonight, which Grinders Live will be on later, 5 p.m. Eastern. Crunch time to follow. Cheese already has the $1 Million Musings up for this early slate. So if you're a premium member, go check that out. Basically says that you're probably playing at least one of Peralta and Wheeler because the rest of the pitching kind of blows. From a prop perspective, I already have this on Underdog. I don't know if it's moved, but Joan Adone under 4 Ks. I think that's still up. Keith Eister in our props and pick'em package got Joan Adone under 4.5 strikeouts at -145 real early last night, real early in the morning. But on BetMGM, Adone under 3.5 strikeouts is +115 currently. That's the best line. If I was September 28th, they opened sports betting here in Kentucky.
Wow.
So,
See,
I'll be able to not have to win 3 to 5 props in order to make money on a given day. So I'm looking forward.
I'm still driving across the border to make my bets once a week. So I feel you. I don't think we'll ever get it here in Utah.
How long do you have to drive for that?
It's like an hour. So it's not great.
It's not like the type of thing of like, oh, this player's out in the NBA, and
no, it's like
I got to drive. By the time you get there in an hour, I think the lines have moved.
Get my big list of bets and place them once a week and hope nothing goes wrong. It's not great.
Do you have any maybe golf or NFL or MLB? Any props? I know you post some stuff on Scores and Odds. Anything early that you're looking at this week?
Yeah, I like 2 props, 1 baseball, 1 football. Baseball, I like Matt Manning, less than 4.5 strikeouts tonight against the Yankees. Look, I'm betting on regression. His xERA is nearly 2 full runs higher than his actual ERA. He's had less than 5 strikeouts in 5 straight games. And his BABIP is the lowest of any starting pitcher in baseball. He's probably going to be in trouble. I know the Yankees lineup is not what it used to be, but they brought up Dominguez. Judge is healthy. Stanton is probably going to play tonight. So I'm going the under 4.5 strikeouts there. And then for football, I like Nick Chubb. I think it's going to be a big year for him. Don't have to worry about Kareem Hunt still in those third downs. And the books and Prize Picks and Underdog, they all have it about 67.5 rushing yards for week 1 against the Bengals. I love that. I think our model has them at like 85 yards. I was sorting by the top plus minus in the rushing yards on Scores and Odds this morning, and that one really stood out to me.
Just to echo your sentiments, Matt Manning, mean K projections in the bat is 3.58. So definitely the under 4.5. That number may still be up right now on Prize Picks or Underdog. It may have moved to 4. If you could get it at 4.5, I think that's an excellent play on both of those pick'em sites. And Chubb, what did you say, Chubb? I've seen Chubb at 90.5 on Prize Picks. Have you seen, when did you see him at like 67.5 as the over?
I swear it was this morning.
This morning? Are we talking about rushing yards?
Yeah, rushing yards, 76.5.
76.5. I swear that he was lower. That it was higher. Chubb. 76 and okay, 76. Okay, I may have it. Okay, I think I'm confusing my own little note sheet of like how much he probably should have. So maybe I'm agreeing with you. So I have him at 9 like efficiently at 90.5. So I think like the over 77. What is the number?
Yeah, 76. I think I said 67.5, but it's 76.5.
76.5. Yeah, and our RG projections have him at 90.5.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't necessarily love about Chubb props is that like a lot of his projection, like our mean projections are, and you have to be very careful when it comes to props that using fantasy projections, their means and props are done by median.
Yeah.
That Nick Chubb has a lot of these like games where he rushes for like 168 yards. So that mean gets like bumped up a lot. And if Chubb doesn't have like that one big run, a lot of times he doesn't make his prop. But I think in this game against Cincinnati, I think maybe there's a more outsized chance of a big play. I'm assuming you think the same way.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at his numbers from last year. I mean, he hit it maybe 75% of the time, over 76 yards. So the median actually looks pretty good on his in his career.
He's someone I perennially fade in DFS because he's always
because he never catches the ball.
Well, the thing is that I don't mind playing guys like Nick Chubb when they're low owned, and no matter what his projection is, like seems like every week you look at his mean projection with Kareem Hunt there, especially, and it would be like he's like the 26th ranked running back, and he'd still be like 12% owned. So it's like I'd play him if he was 3% owned, but he's like this guy is always owned to some degree where I never play him. So basically, whenever the Browns game comes on, like on Red Zone, it's like we got to cut to Cleveland. I'm like, please, and then you see that 70-yard rush. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm not winning at GPP this week.
What do you think of the Browns this year? You think Watson's going to be any good?
He projects to be good.
I know
that's I don't have any other takes other than like you run it through a model and he should be good.
Okay.
But didn't we think of that of Russell Wilson last year?
I mean, yeah, and he was not good. So
I mean, he's got. I think Watson has better weapons than Wilson does.
Yeah, I like it. Good offensive line. Run should take the pressure off him, but we'll see. He looked real bad last year.
I think Elijah Moore may be a little overowned this week.
Yeah,
3,800, but we'll see. Right? Remember the ownership. Remember, as of now, I think based on our current ownership, Raheem Mostert would be in like half my lineups, and I think his ownership is going to come up from 8% to more like 16 to 18%. So definitely check that out later in the week. If you're a premium member, you get all of this type of stuff with a premium subscription. So click on the link in the description, get $10 off your first month. Noto, where can people find you? What other content? It seems like anytime I click on RotoGrinders, it's this thing and your byline underneath it. So what NFL stuff will you be coming out with this week?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have you a part of RG Premium. I'll have plenty of stuff up, including my key personnel, where I go through position by position for week one. But I'll also have some free stuff. I'll have grind down articles for all of the showdown slates, Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. So look out for those. The first looks are always free as well. Find me on Twitter at RG_Notorious. And I'm excited for week one. Nervous, but excited.
We're kind of like the opposites at RotoGrinders. It's like you don't do many shows, right? So people that just watch the YouTube channel, it's like, oh, Noto, he's the guy that the byline on all these art, like all this written content is there, and then I'm the complete opposite of like, oh, if you watch the YouTube channel, oh no, it's Blender again, more Blender. Doesn't this guy write? And then it's like, no, you don't find any of my written content because to me, what you do, like, I don't know if anyone could pay me to write that many words. It's just mental. I don't know. It's mentally exhausting to me to have. I'm the type of person that, like, if I had to write a 4,000 word article, it would take me 12 hours to do.
Yeah, man. Everything's better than it used to be. We used to do the NBA grind down and the MLB grind down, which was like 500 or 600 words per game every single day, and that was just absolutely brutal. So luckily, I don't have to do that anymore. A shout out to Cheese, man. He grinds that thing out every single day, and he makes it entertaining. I don't know. That's one thing that I struggle with. I'm more of a concise, get to the point, and he paints a picture and does a much better job with
it. You'd rather include more jokes into your stuff?
I mean, I would like to. I'm like, okay, I got this much things to do. I got to get it done by a certain time. Because I don't focus on one sport, so I do the 4 main sports. So there's always something coming up next, or but I'd like to get more jokes in there.
If only there was a comedy writer on staff.
Yeah, there we go. Help me out.
Yeah, but they don't pay me for that. Like, oh, imagine that. I'm the one that makes all the jokes and all the articles, and I have to do that all day. I'd probably kill myself if I did that all day. Okay, you can follow Noto RG_Notorious on Twitter. Follow me at BlenderHD. We got Grinders Live for MLB coming up later today, 5 p.m. Eastern, followed by Crunch Time presented by FanDuel, which is free every day. We got all the stuff here as usual. The NFL content. It'll be, as I say, it just comes out of your ass, right? All of a sudden, Thursday, more posted stuff. We have, shows at night. We got the Pick Six show. We got the Fantasy Point show. We got tons of stuff. JM and Squirrel Patrol will do the solo ship show. There's tons of stuff. So join us in the Discord, right? Which is free. I don't know if people know this, but the main channels in our Discord are free. So you could just, as long as you have a RotoGrinders account, right? You just have a username, you're able to get in there. So go to rotogrinders.com/Discord, join the party. Of course, I have my own premium channel, Blender's Game Theory, because Noto, I got to keep the riffraff out, right? I got a little VIP section there. And if you want to join my channel, Blender's Game Theory, I do group coaching calls twice a month, and the next one is tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern. So I'd love for you to join me then. So for Noto, I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderHD, and this has been another edition of RotoGrinders Today, Mondays through Fridays, 11 o'clock Eastern on RotoGrinders.com.